Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, here with none other than the man, the myth, the very cold Karl Bryan. Welcome to the show, Shoots.
Shoots, you are correct. I am cold.
And not just in your heart and soul, but like physically cold.
Exactly, Shoots. This is it. The Grinch here. Am I the Grinch?
Listen here. The Grinch story. We're not going to go there. We'll save that one, I think, for now. But that is a great story. And I will give you a full report card of your Christmas lights. I can't say anything. I got nothing this year because we got snow right after Halloween. It was like I was not ready to put up my Christmas lights with my Halloween decorations. And then I waited 1 week too long and it was too late. Snow on the roof. So,
oh well, all good.
All good. So I get the Grinch report card this year. But anywho, I wanted to say, just on the pre-show, we were just talking about somebody had a question in regards to his events. Yep. And the one thing I want to bring over here is because we, especially you and I, probably more so than anybody, believe in events. Because, they work. So like full stop, right? They work. So with that though, what he was saying is he's doing them weekly. Do you think that cadence is too much? Do you think you're not creating enough scarcity by doing it weekly? Would you rather do 2 events, one morning, one afternoon, bi-weekly? Or what do you think on that?
Yeah, nice. It depends on the size of the audience. You know what I mean? Like how many people is he inviting and how consistent is he? And very important, but I just reiterate something that we said in the pre-show, and that's that, we asked, right? It was Rick, and it's like, Rick, okay, how often are you running the events? And he said about once a week. And what I said is, we got to take the word about out and we got to go, okay, it needs to be every week. It needs to be every second week. It needs to be the first Tuesday of every month. What it does, I think consistency, Road Dog, is the answer, whereby if you can say that every Tuesday at 7 a.m., hell or high water, that event's happening, what happens is it becomes really, really easy. Everybody just knows. The accountant who starts to refer it, he knows that it's every Tuesday. The past attendee that goes, oh, wow, that was really good, and wants to refer, his business partner or his friend or somebody else that owns a company, it's really easy to say that it's Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Just go to this landing page and opt in. If you can't make it this Tuesday, guess what? Rick will be running it next Tuesday. But that being said, very good point. And does he have the bandwidth to invite people every single week? And then more important than that, to get them there, but then to follow up correctly to make sure that he can take them from prospects to warm leads to appointments to clients. And he, again, the bandwidth is where he could run out. So answer, Road Dog, does he have a team of coaches underneath him? Is he farming off the work? Is he doing it all himself? Because as we know, if you've got 20 one-to-one coaching clients, you're flat out, right? So whether the consistency of the regular event is too much, the bigger question is, can you manage, the lead gen, the conversion, and then ultimately the fulfillment of the coaching? And the answer to that, without coaches underneath, is going to be it's going to become very, very hard, very, very quickly. So I'm going to say for the average coach, Road Dog, once every 2 weeks would be on the upper echelon of what is possible. By way of following up and servicing the clients, etc. And you will have to get, if you're doing that properly and having any semblance of success, you'd be running, 2 a month. you will need to have coaches underneath you to farm off a little bit of work. So that's my
So
answer, Shoots. Let's just go with every second week.
yeah, so if you did that, then again, now that my next question is going to be, look, we're not all filling UPW or a Date with Destiny every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Size wise, like what do you think? Like, what's a good number? Because we used to say 10. I think you brought that down to 6 at one point. Like, what are you
Yep.
seeing out there that's working right now? Is there sort of a, because again, obviously the smaller the number, obviously the less stress to fill the room.
Yep.
But what are you seeing?
Yeah. So, okay. Correct. If you only need to put, let's just use 10 is the 10 is a good number because see, the problem is if you've only got 4 or 5 people in the room, the energy is very low. And then the energy will help you convert the clients and then ultimately get good clients and then compliant clients, right? Because the reason you do live events is the preeminence, right? Whether you're the person at the front of the room and they're taking notes. Well, if you've only got 4 people in front of you, the preeminence isn't nearly as much as if you have 40 people, and then that's not as high as if you have 400 people, right? But the bigger question is what I said a minute ago, where if you're going to be running events on a consistent basis, your biggest problem you're going to have is that the conversion of the client, you're going to run out of bandwidth to service them, right? So what you don't want to do, well, let me just say this. Back in the day, I mean, I was doing 3 events a day and we were going hammer and tong. The problem was that the truth is we were very good at generating the leads. We put, roughly 25 people in a room, like consistently falling off a log. The problem we had is that the follow up of the leads was very poor. But we were so good at filling the rooms, we didn't really worry about it. Like I remember sitting at my desk where I had some of my coaches in there, and I had like this stack of what we called yellow cards back then, but I don't know how many, but I'm going to say that there was like 400 yellow cards. And I'm sitting there, guys, these are people that filled out forms, said, I want to get together. I want some help. And there were 400 business owners that we hadn't followed up with properly, still sitting there, as a semi-warm lead of somebody saying, hey, sit down with us and ultimately sell us coaching. They weren't saying that. They thought it was just a consultation to, jack up their business. But of course, at the end of that consultation is an offer. Do you want some help? Do you want some coaching? Do you want some consulting? Do you want us to hold you accountable? But we weren't doing a good job of following up. So translation, I would rather have, if I'm a business coach out there trying to make 250 grand a year, less people in your events and better follow up is going to be way better than more people and less follow up. And then 10 people, I think, is that number that you're looking for, whereby the energy is high enough and, it's not a lame room. But at the same time, if you've got 10 people, we'll assume that you'll have 50% conversions. That's 50 people, that's 5 people to have one-to-ones with. And then let's assume you got a 50% conversion there. That means 2.5 say yes. And you could manage those clients. So you follow me, Road Dog? It's a conversation about your ability to follow through, do the consultations, close the clients, and then also ultimately service the coaching clients as much as it is about, whether, 5, 10, 25 is the right number to put in the room. So
Now, again, with follow up of people that are there, right? Like, again, you and I, we kind of had a bit of a different experience where literally everybody booked and closed. But like, what do you do with the people that don't book in? Obviously, it's easier than ever to build out drip sequences and follow up sequences and doing all that to keep people warm, maybe to invite them back to another event or invite them to a follow up one on one. Like, obviously, a lot more difficult when you were doing it where there was no email and you literally had to, send carrier pigeons to get letters. But like, what do you recommend there? Like, how long do you keep them in a cadence? Do you keep them
forever.
in a follow up sequence? Because I know that you're big on the, what do you call it? Growing roots and not leaving until you've got the commitment. But any tips on that?
Yeah. 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 So good. I like the carrier pigeon shits. But look, you should stay in touch with them forever. And then so you got to have a balance of, like, what would Gary Vee say? The name of his book is Jab, 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 Right Hook. So like basically what he means by that is so you came to an event or you registered for an event and didn't show up. I want to keep, you know, keep you in the, you know what I mean? Keep you in my hopper, we'll call it. And the way I do that is offer value, offer value, offer value, and then say, hey, do you want to come to my live event? If every email after that is come to my live event, come to my live event, come to my live event, you're about to get an unsubscribe and you're probably going to annoy them, right? So that there's always that balance of value, 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 value. So, I send a daily email, right? And there's like literally no pitch in the entire thing. It's just all value, and then it ends up translating into enormous amount of clients for focus.com over the course of 12 months, right? But it's not there's no hard sell in there. So the answer is, yeah, just forever. And it's got to be value, 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 but be careful to invite them, to the event too often, because you'll lose your positioning that way. Make sense?
Yeah, and I just want to add too, it's amazing how many times I've heard it. It's like, oh, I invited people to my event, but they never showed up. It's like, well, did you send reminders? Like, and then not just, it's the same thing for webinars, no matter what you're hosting, right? Like everybody will have their whatever software they're using, let's say just to host an online webinar, and it's the stock reminders, or just like in Calendly or whatever you're using. It's the 45 minutes until your meeting, or 24 hours or 48 hours until your call. That's an opportunity to go in and customize that message and add some value, right?
Yes.
It blows my mind how many people don't go in and customize those messages to it, that you're still selling them to show up. Like, that's super important. So just wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, well, we did Road Dog. So events again, Tuesday always the best day to run a live event. It's best event to close coaching clients and to basically monetize it is Tuesday for some factors that I won't go into now. But what we would always do is on Monday, call, like not like email, but we would call, ideally speak to the person, leave a voicemail, send a text, to make sure that they knew it was Tuesday. So not just via email is what I'm saying, but like literally doing your best to get them on the phone. And you get them on the phone and you get them, the person's job who's calling is to not only say like it's tomorrow, but to get them excited. We're excited to meet them. And we're glad that, there's a plumber, you got a plumbing business and that we're going to have a plumbing business in the room. That's really exciting for us. So can't wait to see you tomorrow. Right. So.
All right. Enough with that. Listen, obviously you love talking about the founder. You love talking about the social network. There's certain, like, God, it's got to be brutally embarrassing how many movies, like you probably got like 3 movies. By the way, have you seen The Family Man yet this year, or is it too soon?
I have shoots. I have. That's when Christmas starts, bud. I've already seen it a couple of times.
All right, I haven't yet, but it's definitely. There you go. Little well-known fact, ladies and gentlemen. Carl and I, we share our favorite Christmas movie, The Family Man, with none other than Nick Cage. All right. World Cup ended yesterday. Unbelievable tournament, put it that way. I hate Argentina, but good for them. Good for Messi. But that being said, I know you take a lot of stuff like business lessons away from movies that I was just alluding to, but did you take anything away from that insane game yesterday? Yeah. And then also maybe with the man himself, with Messi, did you take any business lessons out of a sporting event?
Yeah, nice. I did, and agreed. That was like again, I'm not a huge soccer, football, depending upon where in the world you live. But wow, that was a heck of a game. So business lessons. Actually, put something like this down on an email. Look, winners win tournaments, losers lose tournaments. I don't know a lot, but I know that the guy that missed the penalty for France is not going to sleep well for some time, right? So again, you know what I mean? Look, again, I've never taken a penalty in soccer, but I know this, that I would not want to miss the net. If I was going to fail, I would want it to be because the goalie saved it, not because I missed the net. No doubt you get that, but that's, it's like, turnovers in football. You'll generally, especially in the Super Bowl, like as in the more important the game, the more predictable the stats make it. And the team with less turnovers in the Super Bowl win. with ridiculous predictability. It's errors in baseball. Again, if you take the errors over a 7-game final and, the major, for the world championships, you're going to see that the team with less errors will win with ridiculous predictability. The Wimbledon final, unforced errors will tell you who the winner is. So those things tend to separate winners from losers. So that, winners win, losers lose. I think that there's power in that. So again, with your coaching company, how are you operating it? I also put the guy that builds the race car is not the same guy that drives the race car, right? Translation, it's a team, right? And then, so for anybody listening, again, we got a business coaching company. What does that mean? And I would question, do you have a team? Are you building a team? Are you actively growing your team? Have you lost members? Have you gained members? Or are you building the race car and expecting to drive the race car? Okay. And I'd invite you to think about the logic of that and whether you're going to have the amount of success you want. There's a saying, your greatest successes will come through other people. So you should be, just building a team, right? Again, Messi did not by any stretch. He almost lost it. By the way, I think he became the GOAT, the greatest of all time, by winning the World Cup. But I'll tell you that he gave away I don't know if you saw, but he gave away the ball on the second and France's second goal. So he almost became the GOAT, as in, the guy who messed everything up. And that would have had a very, very different outcome. But again, your greatest successes come through other people. So that would be an example of, wasn't just, Messi's the guy on stage and the one that we're talking about it. But at the end of the day, without the team, would have never happened, right? And on that note, you need to work hard to become a great teammate, just as hard as you do to be a great player, right? The world is not an individual sport. The world is a team sport. And again, if, you're building your business coaching company, it's not just about being the person at the front, the leader of it. It's about bringing other people up. Anyway, so I think I don't want to belabor that, but your greatest successes will come through other people. Make sure that you're building a team. Do you practice to practice or do you practice to improve? Practicing to practice is a bit of a waste of time. That's going to the gym and not tracking your reps and tracking your weight, which, by the way, is fine, but you're an amateur if you're doing that, right? You're not going to see a professional weightlifter who's not tracking the weight and tracking the reps, right? So again, do you practice to practice or do you practice to improve? I think we can agree that Messi, I think he's 35 years old. He is not practicing to practice. The guy is practicing to improve, even though he's debatably, the greatest of all time. And certainly it appears that he's the greatest of, this era. And of course, some will then put Ronaldo and say that, debate it. But, at the end of the day, use Ronaldo instead of Messi. And I assure you, he's practicing to improve as well, right? People have more. What does my dad say about poker? People have more guts to lose than they do to win, right? So when your life becomes, when you become fearless, your life becomes limitless. It's kind of what I wrote in an email and what I think that has a lot of power. Are you operating your business coaching company from a place of fearlessness, or are you, from a place of fear, or are you playing to win, with your business coaching company, right? Are you playing to are you playing to get, big numbers in that weekly event and really provide value to local business owners and legitimately raise the level of consciousness for local business owners in your city? Or are you just doing it, you just hoping to get enough people to your event so that you don't look like an idiot with you got 7 chairs and you're just hoping to fill 4 of them so that you don't look silly? Kind of get the idea? Do you know what I mean? Are you playing big or are you playing small? I think we can all agree that, Messi was playing big. Ronaldo plays big. These guys play big, and again, so it's like what we talked about earlier. You're going to do a local live event. You're going to do it once a week. You can do it once every second week. You can do it every month. But my question is, what's the level of impact that you want to have on local business owners? And if you're legit and you want to, raise the level of consciousness of local business owners and really make an impact and, save marriages, save families, save lives, certainly save businesses, well, I would dare say that doing it once a week is going to get you significantly further towards your goal than doing it once every second week. So the question is that I, addressed earlier is, are you going to be able to handle all of the clients and manage that with your company? But that might be an example of playing small, right? Like if you really want to make an impact, maybe you got to go, book the local chamber of commerce every single Tuesday for the rest of the year and just accept that you're going to find a way to service the people that need a little bit of help, by way of hiring coaches and that sort of thing, right? Difference between an amateur and a pro is a pro gets paid to practice, right? Think about that. If you're an amateur, you're not getting paid to practice. If you're a pro, you get paid to practice. And yeah, that is, I think, so I want you to think of your business coaching. You know what I mean? Like you are a professional, so you get paid to practice. But my question is, are you practicing your script? Are you practicing your elevator pitch for the networking group? Are you practicing, your close? Are you, spending a lot of time to prepare for your coaching clients? That meeting on Tuesday with the plumbing company. You doing some homework for that, or are you going with the attitude that, look, I just know what to say when I need to say it. I just trust, the universe. I trust God. I trust my instincts. I trust my training. Well, Messi would disagree with that vehemently. He wasn't relying on his, the last 20 years of practice for the World Cup. I mean, that guy practiced like a madman the week leading into the big match. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I don't know, but pros get get paid to practice. I think there's just some magic in that. And remember, one man. I'm sitting here talking about Messi, 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 right? One man with courage equals a majority, right? Question is like, why does the football team trade 5 players for one superstar? And on the surface, it looks absolutely ridiculous. But I'll tell you that if you look at the last, forget what I think and forget what you think, look at the trades over the last, say, 50 years in professional baseball, professional football, professional hockey, and other professional basketball, etc. Right? Well, look at, and soccer, football falling into that, right? Well, the team that got, or more to the point, ended up with the best player in the trade, you'll almost always see that that's the team over the decade that was able to say that they won the trade. The team that gets the best player. And then if you ask yourself, like, why is that? It's that Messi elevates the standard of the people around him. The way that he handles himself, no doubt his diet is exemplary. His habits are exemplary. Obviously, when he's on the pitch, I mean, the guy plays like an absolute madman. He elevates those around him. And the difference between winning and losing tends to be, even, I mean, if you're playing professional soccer, you're pretty damn good at it. So therefore, the variance between winning and losing tends to be very minute and tight. And they find that the one elite player, that guy that's highly inspirational, elevates the others, and then that becomes the difference between winning and losing. So, and by the way, test that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can tell you that if you look at it, I'm going to be right. And that over the last 50 years, you look at the lineage of trades, and the team that got the best player over the long haul ended up winning the trade on average by quite a margin. So anyway, so translation is what? How many A plus players, not B players, not B plus players, but A plus players do you have on your team? How many are you seeking? How many are you looking for? It's really good. Get an A plus coaching client. Okay, like as in the unbelievably well-known, well-operated company that is growing with a great reputation and a great brand. And just watch. You can go into other companies and say, "Oh yeah, I'm looking after." XYZ. You know what I mean? Like the local business that's well regarded, well known, and the owner's well known, and that you're going to find that your conversions on that next client are going to be insanely high. Why? Because they go, well, this guy believes in them. This company believes in them. If this company has hired them to mentor, geez, they must be really good. And then that increases your conversions. But the bottom line, they say that one A plus player on your team can be worth like about 9, B grade players. Because again, what I described earlier, where they're elevating, but with your business coaching company, get A players on your team, both your clients, your staff, Definitely your prospect list. Okay, so you're going to come to my local live event. Let's call Acme Concrete, okay, is the company that I'm describing that has a great brand, great reputation, really going, and the business owner's well known, whatever. Well, if you're coming to my event at the Chamber and then I tell you that Dave from Acme Concrete is coming, guess what? There's a really good chance that you come. And you're going to find there's going to be a really, really high profile realtor in your city. So that can be an example of a really good person to say that, oh yeah, like where we live, Jane Hoffman is like big news. You go, oh yeah, Jane Hoffman's coming and she's bringing her team. And then they immediately go, wow, okay, cool. That's got some influence. If she's coming, must be good. She's bringing her team. It must be even better. Guess what? I'm going to come. So A plus players matter. Um, no, Rodon. You know what else I would say that even like Messi, I see people again, like it's like, oh, people are talking about a couple of his mistakes, this, that, and the other. Critics are something that you earn. You don't want to be avoiding a critics. It's the worst thing that you could do. It's the last thing that Messi, Ronaldo, Gretzky, Jordan, Michael Schumacher, Serena Williams, etc. are thinking about. Critics are something you earn by doing great things. And I think again, it's like having the courage, more courage to lose than you do to win. Um, critics are something you earn. I think that that's a really different dynamic. So if you're going to be doing local live events and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, you're going to be at the Chamber, I promise you, I don't care how good of a job you do. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how awesome your presentations are, how hard you work with your clients. You are going to get some critics times a million. And please, whatever you do, don't work to avoid critics. I want you to, see them as something that you earn. So I don't know, Road Dog. Those are some ideas, some things that I ripped down in an email. What do you think, Shoots? That's what I got.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I take a look at a lot of the guys playing at an elite level, and I just shout out to Chris Bumstead, Mr. Four-time Olympia physique winner over the weekend, 4 times in a row. He's still got 4 more to go to catch some of the greats, but it's what's interesting was my wife, as I was watching it come down, she's like, what's number 2 guy look like? It reminds me
Yeah.
a lot of golf, right? Like the difference between a guy on the tour and a guy not on the tour, it's so small, right?
Small.
It's
Well,
insane.
mate, it'd be consistency, would it not?
Well,
Is it?
whatever it is, I, I just think it's more of an encouraging message. Maybe you're a lot closer than you think. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just put in the reps, but you've got to put in that work. You got to put in that effort on a consistent basis. And sometimes it's just that one break, that one thing, that one presentation that puts you over the top. You don't know which one it's going to be,
Yeah.
right? But anyways, I find that super interesting. And by the way, on a sports note, I'm not sure if you caught any of the golf this weekend with Tiger playing with Charlie, his son.
With
Oh
his
my
kid?
gosh,
Yeah, I saw
dude, that was unbelievable. The mannerisms and everything else, he
that.
is just like his dad. Dude, that I believe this. That kid is going to save with the threat of Live Golf being now legit. I
Yeah.
think Charlie is going to save the frickin' PGA when that kid starts playing, dude. He
No
is
pressure. No
right.
pressure.
No, but how much pressure did Tiger have?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Very young age.
It's something else to watch. It is super special. When Charlie's doing the fist pump and Tiger just drops his head and just starts laughing, dude, I love it. I love it. I love that so much. But
Yeah.
anyways, so I take a look at a guy like Charlie Woods, and where does he get his motivation? His dad,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So can we take a step back on that? And like I guess, or let me ask you, how do you approach motivation?
Hmm.
Bigger question.
How do I push motivation? Desperation. Just no. Look, I don't know. Think of a professional sports team. Like the level of pumped up they get, right? Like if you were playing. So if you saw business coaching as a sport, and then you think about, so you're playing baseball, you're playing hockey, you're playing football. You're competing for the World Cup. Um, and by the way, there was probably a time in your life where you were, and it might have been high school football or whatever it was, but it mattered and it was everything, right? Like everything at that moment, take yourself back there and then say, so with your business compared to how you got ready for the high school football game and how you trained every day after football or every day after school, or maybe again it was baseball or hockey or whatever sport. Given your level of preparation, your level of commitment, and if I looked at your weekly schedule and the amount of time you put in the gym, remember pros get paid to practice, right? What would your record be? Like would you make it to the finals? Like, would your current work ethic, remember, your greatest successes come through other people. And then again, they trade one person for one superstar for five really good players, and it ends up being a good decision over the long haul. Like, would your current work ethic be motivational to your teammates? Would you be somebody who elevates, everybody else? And maybe on, I don't know, like a different note, a different angle. We talked about this on other podcasts, but like you're primarily motivated by one of four forces, right? So we talked. It's money, there's status, there's freedom, and then there's relationships, right? So again, money, status, freedom, and relationships. There's four of them. And by the way, there's not right and wrong, but I would challenge you to identify what it is that motivates you, right? And by the way, when I say status, sometimes people that can be a different way. If you think of it as mastery over status, that might help you accept that that's going to be your motivational force. But do understand there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just identifying what's yours. And I like Road Dog as an example. I remember we did this Road Dogs quite a long time ago now, but like you were like freedom, and you were like, that is what motivates me. Again, the money, the car, the house, the this, the that, the status. No, it absolutely freedom. And it was a bit of a, that was something that we talked about multiple times back and forth. But so it's not right or wrong for Road Dog. It just is. And then, by the way, if you want to know, if you're there going, oh, I've got two that are tied, three that are tied, I don't know which one motivates me. Think of if we took one of them away from you, would drive you absolutely nuts. And that's basically that's basically yours. But again, it's money, it's status, it's freedom or relationships, right? So which one is it for you? And then sometimes, like, remember the guy in high school, right, who was like, maybe he was the geek in high school, or he's cut from the football team. No girlfriend in school, and all his buds were dating. So I think, Mike Zuckerberg or what Jeff Bezos, or Bill Gates might have been like in high school. Well, if you can basically turn that, I think those guys can go on to be like ridiculously dangerous because they've kind of got that underdog thing, right? So try to build your underdog story is what I'm trying to say here, right? Like, what is your reason from a negative place of loss, like getting cut from the football team, versus place of gain, right? Like, here's what I'm trying to say. What do you lose by not having freedom, as opposed to what do you gain from having freedom, right? Or what do you lose by not having status? What do you lose by not having a million downloads for your podcast? What do you lose by not having a million views on YouTube, versus what do you gain by having that status and those downloads and those views, right? Like, go to the loss versus the gain. Like, what do you lose by not having the relationships you desire, versus what do you gain by having the right relationships and the relationships, I guess, that you desire, right? So I think that there's a lot of power in that. But again, understanding what it is that drives you, and then sometimes coming from a negative place of loss or takeaway versus of gain. Like, what do they say when you're selling, right? There's either pleasure or pain, and pain is about a million times more motivating than pleasure, right? So go to pain over pleasure, and do it in and around those four areas, like money, mastery, freedom, and relationships. And I think you might find something that is highly, highly, highly motivational for you. And to be clear, mine is status / mastery, and good, bad, indifferent, none of the above. It doesn't matter. It's just it just motivates me. It's why I watch. I listen to audios, I listen to videos, and I read for like every single day, and almost without fail, not without fail, but almost, where I'm always trying to learn. And I've just found that the more I learn, the more things have, gone in the right direction for me by way of mastery. So anyways, forget me. What about you? And I might just wrote, okay, so before I throw it back to you, very hard to get motivated when you feel too busy. And then, because what happens when you're too busy? What comes out of your client's mouth all the time? Overwhelm, overwhelm, overwhelm. You hear it all the time. Think about playing subtract. So if this is motivation is something that you're challenged by, think about playing subtraction, especially as an entrepreneur. This can be very, very powerful, right? Like cooking dinner as an example. If you love to cook, by all means do it, right? But you know what? That is something that can be outsourced in a very real, tangible, and easy way nowadays, right? Or maybe it's mowing the lawn, right? Like again, you like mowing the lawn, by all means do it. If it's therapeutic for you, go for it. But if mowing the lawn is a pain in the backside, there is a kid locally for 20, 50, $100. I get no idea, depending upon, where you're at, and how big your lawn is. But I can tell you that there is a kid locally that is going to be more than happy to come and mow your lawn on a weekly basis. And that will keep your wife, from asking you, damn, do the lawn, do the lawn, do the lawn when it's taking away, right? Like take that. How long does it take you to do the lawn? Let's just assume it's an hour in total between getting the gas, filling up the lawnmower, mowing the lawn, putting it away, to do, right? Well, take that hour and read. Take that hour and reply to emails. Take that hour and, do something constructive for your business. And I think that you can find there's some, this would be really motivational for you by way of there's going to be significantly more time for you, right? And if it's winter time and you're shoveling the driveway, again, pay a local kid. Driving is a big one. Again, if I was running around as a, traditional consultant nowadays, spending, time in my car times a million, I would be taking as much time in an Uber and I would be sitting in the back with my phone, with my laptop, and I would be working during that time. And then I would have somebody else driving me. There's no way I'd be lighting 2 hours a day on fire, holding on to a steering wheel, right? And by the way, you love to drive and it's therapeutic for you and it relaxes you. I would first of all say there's something wrong with you and you should get a psychiatrist. No, joke. But you know what I mean? I'd be doing Uber all day long, twice on Sunday. So what other, and often talked about like the amount of time you spend on social media. Again, cut that out without doubt. Take the time that you would spend farting around on Facebook and Instagram and use that to create content versus consume content. Becomes a creator over a consumer all day long and twice on Sunday and start tracking it, right? And then hold yourself accountable. Get somebody else to hold you accountable. I think that, and then the other one is the amount of time that you spend eating, as in deciding what to eat, organizing the groceries, going to the grocery store, packing the groceries up, bringing them home, cleaning up after dinner. And of course, it's where are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? The amount of time that you spend on quote unquote eating would blow your bloody mind. Outsource that. Okay. And then but now see, here's the thing with leverage. If, you know what I mean? Like if you hire somebody to do your driveway and then you watch Netflix or TV during that time, then you're not really winning unless what you need is some downtime and then you're winning. But I would dare say that someone is going to be doing the 1 hour task of mowing your lawn. Take that hour and study taxes. Take that hour and study building funnels. Take that time and, you say that you're not the greatest salesperson. Well, let me see the number of books, the number of courses, the number of videos that you've watched on sales over the last 30, 60, 90 days. And the person that will tell me they suck at sales has not spent 5 minutes studying sales in the last 3 years. Why? Because they're not good at it. They don't enjoy it. So then they don't do it. But that's the breakthrough. That's the massive leveraged activity. And by the way, I use sales intentionally there because the highest leveraged activity that you could ever do is learning how to sell. Because, with your wife, it was a sale. With your kids brushing your teeth, it's a sale. Starting a business, running a business, hiring staff, motivating staff. It's all sell, 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 Mortimer, right? So anyways, Road Dog, we've talked about that at different times to death, but I think that's very, very important. So, playing subtraction. But I would just finish with Road Dog. If you approached your company like you were a professional athlete competing in the World Cup I think that would change everything, right? And by the way, do you have like, like my phone goes off 4 times a day, right? 8, 10, 12, and 2. That's quarter time for me, right? So like and look, does it go off and do I beat myself up if I'm not being highly motivated? On some days I do, but really what I'm doing is it's a jog to get me out of beta and to just go, okay, am I being productive? Am I being efficient? Am I working towards things um, that I want to be working towards, right? Which in some cases is work, and in some cases, like at Christmas time, that's spending some time with my family, etc. Um, these are things I would encourage folks to be thinking about. Road Dog, just operating your life like you're a professional athlete, where there are games, and then there are finals, and then there are playoffs, and then there are playoff series, and then there's winners and there's losers. I don't know, competing like that. If the goal is to win, and some people aren't as jacked up as you and I, and then so that's fine. So then you want to water everything I'm saying down a little bit to suit your personality, to suit your style, right? But that being said, I don't know that anybody couldn't benefit wildly by operating their business like they were a professional athlete on a professional team and looking to inspire those around them to the tune of, your greatest successes come through other people. And, you want to be you want to become the kind of person that other people want to be around, and you want to be the kind of person that is elevating those around you. Um, I think there's a lot of power in that, shoot. So that's what I try to, but what do you think?
So just last thing, and I know that we're kind of running a little over here. I just want to ask this. So you've been last 7 days. You're very specific. This has been on your brain.
Yeah.
What's the top, I guess, quote, line, whatever that really stood out to you over the past 7 days that you learned about scale?
Quote about scale. I don't know that
or lesson. It doesn't have to be a quote, a lesson, something where like it was sort of an aha moment for you. You're like, oh wow, okay, that resonates.
Yeah, look, I got to tell you, man, the World Cup, winners win, losers lose. If you look at the games, and because I watched more soccer in the last couple of weeks than I have watched in my life. And I just found you see it time and time again. It's like the Super Bowl, right? The team with the most turnovers in the Super Bowl lose, right? And by the way, the more important the game, i.e., Super Bowl playoff game, the more predictable that the stat is, right? Whereby the the turnovers will lead to the winner. The same way in the Wimbledon final, like in the local tennis match down the road, right? Unforced errors will not have the impact. Or round one of Wimbledon, the unforced errors will not have the same impact that they will in the final, right? So it just comes back to winners win tournaments and losers lose tournaments, and that is something. So you're looking at your company, you got to make sure unforced errors. I had a meeting with my team earlier this morning, and I was just talking about like it's all psycho. It's not about it's about Christmas bonuses is what it was about, right? And what was really really important is I had to make sure that that this everything needed to be kept in context, right? Like we've got staff members for over 10 years, right? And a number of them. And I'm like, hang on, these people, there needs to be a reward at Christmas time for somebody who's been here for a decade, and then somebody who's highly valuable, but they've only been here for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. The context, if the 10-year employee sees, these bonuses, they might get their nose out of joint for that reason. But yeah, just had to think that through. You know what I mean? And that could be an example of where we could have upset somebody who's very, very important in an accidental way. And I believe it would have been an unforced error over something pretty small by way of we had to keep context in mind. So yeah, anyways, losers lose, winners win, man. You got to keep winning, shoots.
Got to keep winning. And I just want to say this, then we'll close this out. But on a very serious note, over the past week, I'm sure you saw it, Karl. It's been all over the place. But Ellen's co-host, her DJ, Stephen Twitch Boss, committed suicide. Like, listen, to anybody listening, first off, if you're in a dark place, reach out for help, right? Number one. But how many business owners are going to go through massive challenges especially over the next 18, 24 months.
No.
And I just want everyone to just pause for a minute and just realize the difference that you can make to a family. And I really want to bring that up. Karl, I'd love for you to close us out on that note of the importance of what we do.
Yeah, shoots. There you go, bud. Well, just a high five and thank you for saying that. I got to tell you that hit me like, my big brother committed suicide when I was 16 years old. So unfortunately, I know this way too well. I will tell you that when a young man like Twitch commits suicide, there's one word that will be what happened, and it's identity. Um, so look, as business owners, people, I don't, you talk 12 and 24 months, and I think again, maybe alluding to, there's some recessionary times and some potentially, rough waters ahead. But I would even say just, look, it's, again, we're time stamping this, what we try not to do to a certain degree. We talked about the World Cup, who cares? It's Christmas time, right? And what sometimes business is really good at Christmas time, and a lot of the time business is really bad at Christmas time because everybody's sitting on their hands tooting around. Well, the average business, is that a good thing or is a bad thing? And that's absolutely a bad thing, So when you're reaching out and you've got prospects from the past, as opposed to trying to reach out to these guys and convince them to become a $2,000 a month client, maybe it's time, like a little bit like COVID, where you've really got an opportunity here to make an impact, and call from like a really really empathetic place, as opposed to a place of, hey, how can I turn this guy into this gal into a $24,000 client? Really be empathetic. Remember, marriages end from lack of money over lack of love times a million. So I really believe as business owners, we are saving lives. Like, what happens when a family gets divorced? Well, you reverse engineer it. There's children there, and then they have seen a lot of fighting. They have seen the separation. Is mom and dad in a good mood or a bad mood? They're in horrific moods. Are mom and dad fighting a lot? Are there raised voices? Very unsettling. And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. And then it culminates in two homes instead of one, and then the back and forth and the back and forth. And then it's stepmommy, and then it's stepdaddy. And I would invite you to, if you haven't had a stepmom and a stepdad, I can invite you into how enjoyable that experience is as a general rule, when all you want is your parents to be together. So entrepreneurs get divorced at a significantly higher rate than the average family. And then it's the depression, and then it's potential suicide. It's not so much the suicide, it's the thought of suicide, right? And the depression. So yeah, Road Dog. Oh my gosh, I love that question. I hope I don't know that I'm, delivering this the way that I want to be delivering it here, but I just hope that you guys can really see, like, I truly believe that we save lives as business coaches, right? You are like somebody who works in an ambulance, right? Where you save lives as a business coach because, a business that goes sideways, it is not a lot of fun. So in an empathetic way, reach out to local business owners and help them. And I hope that you'll do that. And I agree, Road Dog. There's some folks that are going to have a tough time during this time of year. I used to be one of them, by the way. I had a hell of a time for a large period of my life due to, the separation, the divorce, some very, very ugly dynamics in my family where I just didn't want to be around anybody. And if I went to my mom's or I went to my dad's, I was turning my back on the other one to do. Just, anyway, so I really battled with it for a long, long time, longer than necessary, by the way, because I didn't seek the help that I probably should have to try work through all that stuff. But whatever. And by the way, I come from an entrepreneurial family, so I am like the poster child of everything that I've just described. So yeah, I don't know, Road Dog. Reach out to local business owners, folks, and really help them in an empathetic way, as opposed to getting a $24,000 client. And I think that what you're going to find is in January and February, you get some really positive financial gains as a result of that empathetic work. So there you go, Shoots. So thank you for bringing that up. And yeah,
it resonated with me as well, and I get pretty emotional just thinking about it. So I really want to bring it up because I know it's near and dear to both of us, and it's especially this time of year, everything sort of gets magnified. So I really wanted to point that out, the importance and the gratitude that I have for everybody in the coaching space of trying to help people and just trying to make their lives better. So thank you. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with none other than Dr. Karl Bryan, who is definitely not a doctor. Do not ever listen to any medical advice Karl ever tells you. But if you're not on the inside and getting actually the pre-show and you're looking for actual advice on which he does know a lot about, and that is growing and scaling your business, visit focus.com and subscribe today, and you will get a plethora of unbelievable information. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone that you think might make a great coach. And as always, please leave a review if you like what you heard. And that is it for another week. We will see you on the next episode. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.